everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Baking with Becca. You're in for a treat today because we're making one of my favorite desserts, cheesecake. Now I know it's very intimidating to make cheesecake as a new or novice baker, but the important things with cheesecake is to follow the steps completely and trust the process, even though it takes a long time. Don't worry though, I'll walk you through everything. My flavor choice for today's cheesecake is going to be Speculoos, which is simply just a spiced shortbread biscuit. They are delicious, although simple. For our crust, we'll be adding these shortbread cookies for the base, and then for our filling, we'll be adding cookie butter, which is basically just ground up cookies with a couple other ingredients to make it a smooth and creamy consistency that's spreadable, kind of like peanut butter. It's very delicious and dangerous, so be careful. Without further ado, let's get started.
Here's the list of ingredients you'll need to make this cheesecake. Don't forget that you can find the ingredients list and the recipe instructions in the document attached in the post. These two are going to be your secret weapons. I've got Biscoff cookie butter spread and Biscoff spice cookies. To begin, preheat your oven to 350 degrees, then we'll start making our crust. Grab 30 Biscoff cookies and put them in a food processor along with 1/8 teaspoon of salt. Then we'll blend those on pulse until the consistency is finely ground. If you don't have a food processor, you can always put them in a Ziploc bag and use a rolling pin to crush them up. They should look like this. Then we'll add that to a medium-sized mixing bowl along with 1/2 stick of melted butter and mix it together. Try to make sure there are no leftover lumps of butter in there. Then we can add this crust mixture to our cheesecake pan. Once you have it in there, you can use your fingers to break up any small chunks, and then we'll go ahead and start flattening it in our pan and about 1 inch up the sides of the pan. Take your time doing this so that your crust is nice and even all the way around. Another option for flattening in your crust is using a flat bottom cup. This helps get the sides nice and tucked in, but I always like using my hands. Next step is getting our pan all wrapped in tinfoil. This may seem odd, but is a very important step for baking cheesecakes because cheesecakes require a water bath. Water baths ensure that the cheesecake is baked gently enough so that it doesn't split or crack, making it a smoother consistency and more pleasant to eat. So we want to wrap it in tinfoil, that way when we set our pan into the water bath, it doesn't leak water all over into the pan and make our crust soggy. Another thing to mention is that I always use 2 layers of tinfoil just to be on the safe side. Once you get your tinfoil situated, that goes into the oven at 350 degrees for 10 minutes. While that's baking, we can get our filling started. In a large mixing bowl, add 4 8-ounce blocks of cream cheese, softened to room temperature, and using a hand mixer on high speed, blend until completely smooth. One thing I always mention is not to forget to scrape down the sides of your bowl. Use the mixer and mix on high speed again until completely smooth. Then we can add in 1 1/4 cups of sugar and 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt. We'll use our hand mixer again on high speed to get that all blended in. As always, scrape down the sides of your bowl. Since the ideal texture of a cheesecake is smooth, you'll want to make sure you're scraping down the sides of your bowl as often as you can to ensure a smooth texture. Now it's time to add our eggs. You'll add them one by one, making sure to incorporate fully between each egg and scraping down the sides of the bowl between each egg. This is very important so you get a smooth consistency at this stage as well. Again, it's important that all of our ingredients are at room temperature so they incorporate more easily. Now's the time to add in 1 cup of heavy cream, 1/4 cup of sour cream, and 1 tablespoon of pure vanilla extract. Use your hand mixer turned off just to kind of gently stir things around. This helps prevent any splatter when you turn the mixer on. Then you can turn the mixer on low speed and slowly get it up to medium speed to finish incorporating the items. Last but not least, we'll add in our 1/2 cup of cookie butter. You'll want to warm your cookie butter up just a little bit in the microwave, that way it has a smooth, almost pourable consistency, but is not hot. Then we'll add it into our filling and fold it in. The technique of folding ingredients together is specifically used so that it doesn't agitate the mixture too much, because our two ingredients are different in texture. So you'll take your spatula around the outside of the bowl, and then you'll cut it through the middle, repeating over and over again until combined. Now's the time to get our batter into our pan and get this puppy into the oven. Add that finishing touch to smooth it out on top and set it into your pan to get your water bath started. In a separate pan, boil some hot water, and once boiling, add it to your pan about 1 inch or 2 up the side. This is where that tinfoil comes in handy. Then, using oven mitts of course, transfer the pan into the oven, set at 325 degrees. Bake uncovered for the first 40 minutes. If you start to see it browning, you can put a piece of tinfoil over the top, like this. When the timer for 1 hour and 20 minutes is up, check your cheesecake by gently wiggling the pan. If you still see a lot of jiggle, add another 10 minutes of baking time. Check it again after that point, and if it has a slight firm jiggle, you're good to go. When it gets to that point, take a wooden spoon and prop the oven door open so there is a gap to let the cheesecake firm up while the oven reduces in temperature. Then you'll take it out of the oven, out of the tin foil, and let it cool on a wire wrap.
I think one of the worst things about making a cheesecake is the fact that you want to wait until the next day to actually eat it. Which is so hard because when you make something that smells so delicious and you know is going to taste good, you can't wait that long, right? But it's very important to do so with cheesecake because that's where the flavor comes from, and it has to set overnight in the fridge. So you want ample time to let that happen, so overnight is really the best option unless you make it really early in the morning. And that's just not who I am. So we're letting it sit overnight, and we'll check back tomorrow, okay?
Ta-da! Now that you've let it chill overnight, we can unwrap it and get it out of its pan. Grab a butter knife and gently go between the cheesecake and the edge of the pan, just to help separate it from the side so that it doesn't take any of our yummy cheesecake away with it as we take off the spring form. Unbuckle the side and simply lift it up off of the cheesecake. Now it's ready for our decorations. To begin your decorations, take a 1/4 cup of cookie butter and put it in the microwave just so that it gets warm enough to be a pourable consistency. Then you can drizzle this over the top of your cheesecake like so, and make it as pretty as you'd like. You could even do a specific pattern if you want. Then you'll take about 3 cookies and you'll crush them up and put them over the top. And this can be really simple. You can make them big chunks, small chunks, however you like. This is just to add a little bit more flair to your cheesecake. Make it more presentable, if you will. Hey, check it out! You've got a fully decorated cheesecake! Yum! Let's cut into it and see what it looks like. You'll want to get a sharp knife for this, just so that you have a nice clean cut. And if you're really trying to make a good presentation, take a paper towel and wipe down the knife in between each cut so that it has a nice smooth finish when you pull out the piece. Ooh, look at that smooth and creamy cheesecake. I'm so excited to eat some. Alright, so honestly, this cheesecake was too good for me to tell you about it in the moment. So here's me eating this cheesecake, and just to let you know, the flavor of Speculoos is almost like a spiced nuttiness. It's really hard to explain, but it is so good, it's so decadent, and it works perfectly for cheesecake. For me, cheesecake is kind of just one of those things that makes me want to dance, especially this one. I really hope you guys enjoy this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.